What if I told you it's possible to see through anyone, recognize their true nature, and hidden intentions with just two simple observations? No psychological games or guesswork is involved, only pure psychological truth. Most individuals wear masks, only showing what they want us to see, yet behind every smile, handshake, and kind word lie subtle clues. Numerous studies in social psychology support this, showing that a person can unconsciously reveal their true intentions through micro-expressions and uncontrollable behavioral patterns. The first thing to notice is how a person treats those who cannot offer them anything in return. Do you want to know someone's true nature? Observe their behavior towards those they might perceive as offering nothing, like waiters, cleaners, cashiers, or even strangers. Someone who is kind only to those they need is not genuinely kind, merely strategic. An interesting historical example is Winston Churchill, who was known for treating the royal family and his estate's gardeners with equal respect. When questioned, he said he always measures a person by how they treat those who cannot benefit them. Princess Diana showed similar behavior, often interacting with the palace staff as equals and even defending their interests before the royal family. Psychologists call this the waiter rule, based on the idea that a person's true nature appears when interacting with those they feel no need to impress. Research shows people with high emotional intelligence and moral character treat everyone with respect regardless of their status. There are several clear signs to watch for, including a lack of gratitude towards service staff, changes in behavior depending on who is watching, excessive reactions to others' mistakes, and using others' helplessness for personal gain. Psychological research from Stanford University has shown that people who show respect to service staff generally demonstrate higher levels of empathy and emotional intelligence overall. A telling example from the business world is Steve Jobs, who, despite his genius, was known for his harsh remarks to lower-level employees. This is often viewed as one of his main personality weaknesses, showing that even the most successful can display such negative traits. In contrast, Mark Zuckerberg, in the early years of Facebook, personally knew the names of all the office cleaners and greeted each one. There is also a well-known story of how Bill Gates, in his youth, would deliberately take potential partners to restaurants to assess their treatment of the staff. Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin Group, is known for always carrying a notebook to record ideas and suggestions from any employee, regardless of their position. Jung's work stems from deeply rooted complexes and needs for domination. His research shows that people who respect only those they fear or admire often hide a darker side to their personality. The Dalai Lama often says that true kindness is shown in how one treats complete strangers. Modern research in neuropsychology confirms Jung's theory, showing that dismissive treatment of subordinates is often linked to impaired function in the prefrontal cortex, responsible for empathy and social behavior. The second important observation involves how a person behaves when given power. The true test of character happens not when things are easy, but when a person gains control. History knows many examples. Nelson Mandela, after 27 years of imprisonment, used his power to reconcile and unite the nation, not for vengeance. At the same time, history is full of examples where power revealed the worst qualities in people. It is important to remember that power does not change people, it reveals their true essence. Psychologist Philip Zimbardo, in his famous Stanford prison experiment, vividly demonstrated how power can reveal hidden sides of personality. Another vivid example is Mahatma Gandhi, who, despite holding immense influence, continued to live modestly and serve others, showing that true greatness manifests in how one uses their power to help others. If you want to see a person's true character, observe how they behave when they get power. This could be power over resources, influence on others, or simply control in a given situation. Power reveals the real personality hidden beneath the surface because it removes the constraints of fear and consequences. Power eliminates the need to pretend. People no longer need to impress, beg, or play the role of a good person. They show who they really are. A classic example of this is the story of Robert Mugabe, who started as a freedom fighter for Zimbabwe but ended as one of Africa's most brutal dictators. A study conducted by psychologist Dasher Keltner at UC Berkeley revealed something shocking. When people gain power, they often become less empathetic. Keltner calls this the power paradox, the idea that people often come to power due to positive qualities like kindness and empathy. But once they have power, they often lose those very qualities. This phenomenon manifested itself in the case of Mark Zuckerberg, who, starting as an idealistic creator of a social network for students, gradually became a leader making controversial decisions about user data privacy. Why does this happen? When a person feels powerful, the chemistry of their brain literally changes. Research using brain scans show reduced activity in the mirror neuron system, the part of the brain responsible for empathy. This means they literally care less about others. They begin to see people as means to achieving goals, not as equals. Modern neurobiological studies conducted at Stanford University confirm these findings, showing significant changes in frontal cortex activity in people in leadership positions for over 5 years. Let's consider some examples of how power reveals character. Imagine a colleague who is friendly and supportive when on the same level as you, but as soon as they get promoted, everything changes. Suddenly, they stop noticing you in the hallway, start micromanaging your work, and reject your ideas in meetings. This is not a coincidence. It's the shift in power dynamics revealing their true nature. Why? Because power gave them a new sense of control, and they chose to use it unfairly. The promotion didn't change them, it simply dropped the mask when they gained authority. For example, there is a known case of one of Google's executives who completely changed his management style after a promotion, turning from a supportive colleague into a harsh manager. On the other hand, a person of true character will treat their subordinates with the same respect as before. Instead of micromanaging, they will support and develop their team. Instead of control, they will delegate authority. A striking example of this approach is demonstrated by Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, who is known for maintaining his humble and attentive leadership style, even after obtaining the highest position in the company. Power exists not only in business or leadership, but also in personal relationships. Think about relationships, whether romantic, familial, or friendly. A good person, having gained an advantage, emotional, financial, or social, will still treat you with respect and fairness. For example, the story of Warren Buffett, who, becoming one of the richest people in the world, continues to live in the same house and maintain the same friendships as decades ago. But a person with a weak moral character will exploit your vulnerabilities. Have you noticed how some people change when they realize that you need them? A friend who used to be kind starts putting you down when they feel superior. A romantic partner who once cherished you suddenly becomes controlling as soon as they realize that you love them. This happens because the power imbalance changes behavior. If someone is only kind to you when they need something from you, that's a sign. Someone who was humble and accepting suddenly starts treating others as inferior upon gaining fame, money, or recognition. Carl Jung argued that power strips away the persona, the mask we wear in society. When we no longer need approval, the true self is revealed. If that self is cruel, manipulative, or selfish, it was merely concealed. A historical example of power and corruption, history is full of people who started as heroes and ended as tyrants. Many dictators started as revolutionaries fighting against injustice and inequality, but became even worse than the systems they overthrew, proving that their desire for power was never about helping others. It was about dominating them. Kings and rulers who once fought for freedom became examples of this transformation. A clear example is Napoleon Bonaparte, who transformed from a defender of revolutionary ideals into an emperor. As Abraham Lincoln said, nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. That is why Carl Jung emphasized that understanding one's shadow, the hidden, repressed aspects of the personality, is essential. Power reveals the true desires and intentions that are normally kept in check, because that is when their true self manifests. This is confirmed by research from modern psychologists, particularly the work of Philip Zimbardo and his famous Stanford prison experiment. Jung claimed that people never change. These traits have always been inside them. Power simply eliminated the need to hide them. Power can corrupt, and self-awareness is key to defense. People who understand their own weaknesses are less susceptible to its influence. A person who has explored their shadow, as Jung called it, will be able to resist the temptations of power. A prime example is Nelson Mandela, who even after decades of imprisonment and gaining power, maintained his humanistic principles. Strong values are also vital. If a person is guided by virtue, morality, and integrity, their actions will remain consistent regardless of their position. Finally, accountability is critical. The most dangerous. What does your power say about these questions? Here's how to protect yourself. Firstly, create emotional distance. If a complete break is not possible, start by reducing emotional closeness. Limit what you share, especially your weaknesses or problems. They might use this against you later. Psychologists note that emotional distance is key to maintaining mental health when interacting with toxic people. Secondly, check character beforehand. Before trusting someone, observe how they treat others when they think no one is watching. Thirdly, set clear boundaries. Such people will test your limits, induce guilt, manipulate, and lie for their gain. Do not give in. If they cross your boundaries, reinforce them. Research shows that people with clear personal boundaries are less prone to manipulation and emotional abuse. For example, if they make rude remarks, say, "I don't participate in conversations that demean me." If they try to induce guilt, respond, "I understand that you are upset, but my decision stands." Fourthly, don't try to fix them. Many spend years hoping someone will change. The hard truth is, if they wanted to change, they would have already done so. Instead of waiting for them to get better, invest time in people who already treat you well. Fifthly, maintain control over your life. Such people often try to make you dependent on them. Stay in control emotionally, financially, and mentally. Have a support system outside their influence. If this is a boss or family member, start planning ways to reduce their impact on your decision-making. Research in psychology shows that financial independence and a broad social network are key factors in overcoming toxic relationships. Sixthly, observe how they handle conflicts. When something doesn't go their way, do they lash out, manipulate with guilt, or seek revenge? Seventhly, trust signs, not excuses. Jung believed that we often ignore the truth because it is uncomfortable, but the longer we ignore it, the deeper their influence on us. If they behave arrogantly, demean others, or suddenly become haughty after gaining an advantage, take this as a warning. So, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you start paying more attention to how people treat those who can offer them nothing? Will you notice how they behave when they have power? Because once you see these patterns, you won't be able to unsee them. This awareness gives you an incredible advantage. It protects you from deception, helps you build stronger relationships, and most importantly, allows you to surround yourself with people of integrity. But it also challenges you, because if you want to recognize true character in others, you must be willing to reflect on your own. How do you treat those who are below you? How do you behave when you gain power? True growth starts with self-awareness, so ask yourself, if someone were observing you through the same lens, what would they see?